Hey, what's up guys? It's Nate the DIY mechanic here, back on Project Frankenstroke here. We are well on our way to having this thing road ready, and one of the last things on the list is power windows. And on these old body style Ford crew cabs, there's a very common issue with the rear windows, and that is that the whip that goes through the door jamb here breaks and cracks, and the wires break off. And when that happens, your doors don't work right. Your windows won't go up and down. Sometimes locks don't work. So I'm going to try something different to fix this one. As you can see, I've removed part of the wiring harness, and the way that you get this out is to remove the B-pillar trim here at the bottom. The wiring connections are typically right here. So I just pulled these out, disconnected everything, and then pulled the rubber plugs out, removed the harness out here, pulled the other plug, pushed it into the door, pushed the whole harness in, and then fished the harness out of the door here. And the reason for that, the reason I'm not taking it clear off of the door, is power lock actuator is clear down here in the bottom. And the wiring connector on that is really difficult to get to. So a lot of times you end up breaking the connection, breaking the tabs off of the connector when you're trying to disconnect that without being able to get good access. You can drill this rivet out, you can take that actuator out and then disconnect it. But I'm trying something different here. This time I just left it connected and pulled the harness out of the door here. And as you can see, I cut it off. So what I've got here is about 18 inches of the harness, including the section that needs to be replaced. So now I can take that into the shop here. I can make my splices on one end to reconnect it to the cab side of the harness. Then I'll bring my pigtail out here, make my splices up on the door side of the harness, fish everything back down through, and reconnect it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try something a little bit different for this one, and I'll show you what that is once we get everything back into the shop and set up. Alright, so I've got this harness in here in the shop, and I've gone ahead and removed portions of the loom, if you can call it that. This is like a piece of plastic hose, and this is just tape. But as you can see, there are 7 wires inside this harness. And if I open it up here in the section that's normally between the B-pillar and the door, you can probably see that the only ones that are completely intact are these 2 little black ones. There's a black and a black with a blue trace. And believe it or not, those just feed the courtesy light on the door. Every single wire aside from those is either cracked and in the process of the copper breaking off. You see that? Even this pink one here that's still intact has got frayed and broken strands, or it's already completely broken. These red and yellow wires, there's I think 5 of those. Those go to the power window. Actually, there's 4 of those. Those go to the power window. These 2 pink wires, I believe, go to the power lock actuator, and those other 2 little black ones, as I said, run the courtesy light. So there's a total of 7 conductors in this loom. So I thought to myself, boy, it'd be nice if I could get a piece of cable that had 7 conductors in it, and I could just replace this whole thing with a piece of cable. There'd be no loom. It would be weather tight, probably be relatively flexible. I mean, as much as this was. And make things a lot easier. So, here's what I got. This is a 7-conductor cable intended for use with trailer lights. So if you've got a 7-prong camper plug on your truck, this would be the type of cable that you would use on the trailer side to make that connection. It's just a little bit larger in diameter than this. Not a lot less flexible. And I think we can make it work. So that's what I'm going to try. We're going to try and just use a piece of this cable to replace this harness. I don't know if it's just the way that these things pinch when the door closes. If it's just that it, repeated motion there, it always bends at the same place and eventually it just breaks off. I don't know if it's just poor quality wire. I'm not sure exactly what the deal is, but this is an extremely common issue. If you've got a crew cab pickup and it's got power windows and locks, I would be surprised if you don't have at least a couple of conductors in there that the insulation is at least cracked on. Guys have had issues with a couple of these getting together and shorting out, and they're actually powered by a circuit breaker in the in-cab power distribution center. But they've had things getting real hot and melting, and wiring harnesses getting melted, and all sorts of things as a result of this issue. So we're going to give this a shot. I've not done this before with this cable, so we're going to try it out and learn together here, see how this goes. So I think what I'm going to do first is just stretch everything out here and kind of make some marks. Starting at the end, I'll mark the end. I'll mark kind of the location of these two grommets so that I know the spacing in between. And then we'll make a cut on the other end here where we'll make our splices. You could probably solder these. I think I'm going to use butt connectors. There's a lot of debate about whether soldering in an automotive application is the best way to do things. I've soldered connections on automotive wiring for years. A lot of guys say that that makes the wire connection brittle, and that over time with stress and vibration it'll break. And they say that actually butt connectors do a better job. I don't know if there's anything to that, but I've got a bunch of butt connectors here, and for this project I think that's what I'm going to try to use. So I'm going to turn the camera off here. I'll make some marks. I'll go ahead and cut this the rest of the way open, and we'll see how this turns out. Alright, here's where we're at so far. These grommets fit really tight on this cable. It did not want to slip through the hole in the grommet here. So what I did to kind of help with that is I just used my heat gun. It's just a cheap Harbor Freight heat gun. I don't know, what are these, 15, 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. It's basically a real high-powered hair dryer. I used that just to heat the rubber up here. Got it to the point where it was about as hot that I didn't want to touch it with my bare hands, so I put some gloves on, and that softened it up enough that I was able to get it to slip over this cable. I found that skinning a section of the sheath off of the end worked well. That reduces the diameter to get things started a little bit, and then I went ahead and wrapped it in a little bit of electrical tape just to hold the individual conductors together so that it was able to slip it through there. So that's where we're at so far. There's a couple of things that you can do here. At this point, it's really just a matter of splicing things together and matching colors. If that's something that you're a little bit leery about, you can take the time and actually write out a wiring diagram. Just write your color codes. The old one, you can see your colors. You've got a yellow with a black trace. I've got a red with black. I've got a red with blue. I've got a black. I've got a black with a blue trace. I've got a pink. maybe with an orange trace. I'm not really sure. Looks like an orange trace. And then a pink with a black. You can write out a wiring diagram and, you know, specify what you're going to splice to what. Since you can see both ends of the cable when we're splicing this all together, it's not super critical. Basically, all we have to do is splice this stuff onto this end, and then when we get out to the truck, if I don't tape this up, I just match the other end. So if I splice this to the blue wire, then I just look and go, okay, yellow with black is on the blue, and I make the same thing up on the other end. The only thing that's important is that you do make it the same all the way across. It doesn't matter what goes where. So I'm going to get started splicing this together, and then we'll go back out to the truck and see how this works. This is not quite as flexible as that stock harness, so I'm not sure exactly how well it's going to bend when we close that door. I'm a little concerned that it might try and push these grommets out and pop them either into the door or into the B-pillar, but hey, what the heck, we got to give it a shot, right? This rubber hose stuff doesn't do a very good job of supporting that cable, and I think that's probably why it ends up breaking, is that it just kinks right in the center, and it makes a real sharp kink like that, instead of with a strain relief like this with sheathing on it. It kind of spreads that bend out, increases the radius of the bend a little bit, and it's not as hard on the conductors. So I'm going to get started. We'll splice these together, and I'll show you what we're into when we get back out to the truck. Alright, well, we've got our new little section spliced into the door. Again, whichever end you start with, the color code makes absolutely no difference. I tried to do what made sense. I went yellow with yellow, and red with blue, and red with black, and black with black, but it really makes no difference whatsoever. You can do however you want on this end. The only thing that matters is that you do it the same on both ends, and the color code is the same all the way through the harness, so whatever you put on the green wire on this end, just match it to that end. Go slowly, go one at a time, make sure that you get them all matched up okay. And what we've done is replace that broken section. So now, all you got to do is fish it all the way back down through the door. Get it out through the opening in the door there. We'll fish it into the B-pillar. Plug it in, and we'll see how we did. I think I'm going to go ahead and operate on a little bit of faith here that it's going to work, and put a little bit of tape on at least one end here. Probably tape this end up. Just because I'm going to be pulling that grommet through the wrong direction, and I don't want it to slip off of the cable. This one, if I need to, I can tape later. I can pop it out of the B-pillar pretty easily and put some tape on it, but I want to leave one side open so that I can adjust the length between the two grommets here if I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this up. I'll tape up these butt splices. If you're concerned about using butt splices, my experience is don't be, as long as you've got a good set of crimpers. This is an old pair of Channel Lock brand crimps. It does a real good job of crimping those. If you're really worried about moisture or corrosion, you can get some deox grease and shoot it inside of your butt crimps there before you crimp them. That'll keep the moisture out of there and keep anything from oxidizing. The other thing you can do is just either tape this up real good when you're done, which is what I'm going to do, or if you've got some liquid electrical tape, I really like the 3M liquid electric tape, you can schmutz these all up and seal them permanently. I have not had the greatest of luck soldering this kind of thing, and for some reason it's because of the copper that's in these old harnesses. It's real dull looking, almost like it's corroded. So I don't know if over time the insulation breaks down and it gets enough oxygen in there that the copper corrodes, but I have a hard time soldering to these old wiring harnesses. So it's another reason why these butt crimp connectors are kind of nice. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that end up, and we'll get things fished back down through the door here. And if we can, we'll get it plugged in and see how we did. Alright, well, I got things fished back together. The grommet popped through just nicely. This does kink a little bit with the door closed, as you can see from this side. But that's not bad. I guess if you wanted to alleviate that completely, you could probably cut the inside of this grommet and the B-pillar out and just let that slide in and out. I think it's going to be okay as it is, so I just left it alone. Got everything connected back up, and we're in good shape here. This thing really needs some cleaning. I need to clean these seals up along the sides and then lubricate the mechanism in the door here quite a bit before it's going to run and be happy. But it works, and the power lock works, and I think this guy would probably work too if not for this burnt out bulb. So I'm pleased with that as an alternative to making your own harness from scratch. So again, all that is a piece of 7 conductor 14 gauge trailer light wiring cable. It'd be what you would have on the front of a camper. You can get it from Amazon. You can also order it probably through some of your auto parts stores, especially if they carry truck items. A lot of the Napa stores around here are kind of oriented towards fleets, so they've got a little bit more of that kind of stuff. They had it as well, but their price was ridiculous. It was several dollars a foot, and I think I bought 25 feet off of Amazon for, I don't know, it was like $1 a foot. So whatever you decide, if you only need a foot or so, it might just be better off to go pony up and get a couple of feet at Napa. I used about, I don't know, 16, 18 inches of it to make this repair. So if you had 3 feet of it, it would probably be enough to do both sides. I think that makes a viable repair. And like I said, I'm pleased. I like how it looks. Went together okay, and it works. So that's it for now. We're getting closer and closer to putting this thing back together and putting a bed on it and sending it down the road. The truck is sold at this point. Sold it to a friend of mine, and he's kind of worked with me to figure out exactly how we're going to finish it. So we've got a 4-inch straight pipe exhaust that's going to go on it. It's going to get a flatbed. It's going to get some gauges on the inside. It's going to be a great work truck. Nothing quite beats a crew cab 4-wheel drive dually with a flatbed on it for a work truck. So that's it for now. I'm going to get this thing started back together here. Thanks for watching.